is it actually
Jack
this
Curse.
Jack Curse won again, thankfully.
That is great. So we're gonna have another great day of predictions. Hopefully we have as great of records as we did last week. So let's just get right into it with the Commanders versus the Bears. I'm gonna have Jack take this one to start us off.
This one is a great matchup on paper. I'm so happy that they decided to give this the primetime slot. Very happy with it. But ultimately, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears here. I don't love either of these teams, which makes sense. But the Commanders, the Bears somehow find ways to be relatively competitive. Like, they came back in the Vikings game, or at least attempted to. They can have a run game when they feel like it sometimes. It's pretty inconsistent. Well, the Commanders feel like they're falling apart and they're kind of injured. Jahan Dotson got ruled out again. Their defense is still having a lot of trouble, and Ron Rivera doesn't like Carson Wentz very much. So I'll give the Bears a win in primetime and probably the ugliest Thursday Night Football game of the year. Actually, no, that's not possible because of last week's Thursday Night Football game. But this one will hopefully try to live up to the level of badness that we got last week. But I'll take the Bears to come out on top in this pretty bad matchup. What about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Commanders here. It's not going to be fun. Now, since we say that, it's probably going to be the greatest game ever played on a screen. But I don't like this. I wanted to put a tie, but my co-host told me no, I couldn't do a tie. So I'm going to choose the Commanders here because I want to see them win. I think that they're better than the Bears right now. Zach?
I don't really want to predict this matchup, but I'm going to say Commanders. I trust their defense more. And the Bears don't really seem like they pass the ball, and that's what the Commanders struggle with a lot, so I'm going to say Commanders. All right, Josh.
Okay, our next matchup is the Niners and Falcons. Zach?
Niners. It's the Falcons. The Falcons have been really bad lately. They've been choking a lot and just not looking the best. I'm going to say Niners. Oh, yeah, Jack.
I'll take the Niners, too. I think the Falcons are probably going to find a way to make this competitive and choke or do something weird to lose the game. They've been good at that lately. But the Niners are kind of finding their stride lately. They've been beating up on worse teams so far, and I think this trend's going to continue against the Falcons. Give me the Niners here. What about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Niners too. I like their odds against the Falcons, and they have. Unfortunately, I think the Falcons could win because the Niners have a lot of people on injured reserve right now. But I still think even with that, the Niners are going to win this game. Okay, our next matchup is the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. Zach?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to ask. What did you guys say for the Commanders matchup?
I said Bears.
Okay. And Josh?
Commanders.
Just let me write that down real quick.
Oh, and Zach, you're going back to back to back because all these are NFC West teams.
Just let me write down. Jack, you said Bears, right?
Yeah.
Making sure. And because I accidentally wrote Commanders for you. Okay, 49ers, everyone said. Yeah, it's just need to quickly just jot these down. Not expecting anybody to say anything different for this Niners matchup, so that's the reason I didn't ask. Alright, now Cardinals, Seahawks. I'm going to give it to the Seahawks. They're at home. We always split with them. Even when they had the Legion of Boom, even when we were going to the Super Bowl and all that, we always split. They always take home. We always take our home. I'm going to go Seahawks here, which will make the Cardinals fall to 2-4, which is not looking good for us, but it's okay. What about you, Jack?
Cardinals and Seahawks normally do play that weird game where they split with each other at home, so I'll keep with the trend and I'll go with the Seahawks as well. It's just how this rivalry goes at this point. They always split somehow, and Geno Smith has been looking up lately, so I do think that they can put enough points on the board to win a game here. So I'll take the Seahawks and I guess an upset. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to go with the Cardinals here because I don't care about these dumb stats of who splits where. I'm gonna go off of the Cardinals are really good, and they're gonna reverse the series. They're gonna win on the road, and then they're gonna lose at home because they're road warriors. So I'm gonna go Cardinals here. Okay,
Our next matchup is
our next matchup. I got this, Zach. I was just trying to make sure that you wrote everything down before I said it. Our next matchup is the Panthers and Rams. Zach, this is your final matchup. Take it away.
Easy. It's so easy to predict this one. The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL right now, and they're just gonna keep getting worse and worse. Seeing their head coach, he was the head coach for the Cardinals. I probably could put in Rams for every single one of us. That would be right. So yeah, just this coach is just so trash for Panthers. He's not as bad as Matt Rule, obviously, but he was with the Cardinals. We didn't really have anything go off of. It was still not the best season ever. What about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Rams here. Even though I think if Steve Wilkes can pull like 3 or 4 wins out of this team, he's probably gonna get another head coaching job. I don't think that this will be one of his wins. So, give me the Rams here, Jack.
I have to take the Rams. I just have trouble seeing this Panthers team realistically winning a lot of games. Even though the Rams are sort of stumbling right now, it's not enough for them to lose this game. Steve Wilkes and Ben McAdoo combined together, it's got to be one of the worst tandems in history. And they're basically admitting they're having a fire sale. Baker Mayfield has a sprained ankle, so they got like P.J. Walker or Sam Darnold if he makes it back from the reserve. But overall, this is just a nightmare for the Panthers so far this season. I don't think it's going to get better from here. It only gets worse. Give me the Rams.
Okay, so that's everyone. Our next matchup is the Cowboys versus the Eagles. Jack, what are your thoughts on it?
I'll go Eagles here. While the Eagles they're 5-0, so they have the best record in the league. And I trust them, even though Cowboys defense and Cooper Rush are also undefeated, so a streak is going to end here. We'll see who prevails first, but I'll lean the Eagles, mainly because of home field advantage, but don't be surprised if Cooper Rush finds a way to get another W here. But because of the home field and momentum going, I'm going to take the Eagles to have a big offensive game and try to take advantage of a really good Cowboys defense. What about you, Zach?
Also gonna go Eagles. With this, when I was watching the Cardinals game, they didn't look the best on offense, but I think that with this Dallas rivalry, they're gonna want to embarrass Dallas. So with this, I'm gonna go with the Eagles. Josh?
I gotta go with the Dallas Cowboys here. Like the old saying goes, defense wins championships. Usually, whenever they have really good defenses versus really good offenses, the defenses usually prevail. So I'm going to go with statistics here and go for the Cowboys. Okay, our next matchup is the Jets versus the Packers. Jack, what are your thoughts?
Right, Jack Curse got the Jets the W. They're 3-2, and mainly because I feel pretty good about the Jets. I'll take them to win here in what's considered an upset. Packers are coming off a weird loss in London, so they're going to have to come all the way back. I expect it to be super competitive, but the Jets have had a little bit more momentum going. They're on a 2-game win streak. They have a winning record for the first time in like 4 years, and I'll expect them to probably continue it here. They're 4-2 in Lambeau in their last 6 appearances. Zach Wilson's undefeated as a starter, so I'm going to take the Jets here, have some more good vibes this week, hopefully. What about you, Josh?
I gotta go with the Jets here too. I think for one, Packers are going to be dealing with jet lag, and I think that the Jets have just turned it to a new level this year, especially with their new pieces that they've got in free agency and in the draft. Everything's really starting to click for the Jets, and they are dark horse playoff contenders right now, while the Packers are sputtering out of control. So give me the Jets here, Zach.
Oh my gosh, this is weird to say, but I'm gonna have to go Packers. This is like they're really good with Aaron Rodgers. He's the MVP of last 2 seasons. The Jets have been looking very impressive, but that Dolphins win's very deceiving. It was very close, and I'm very concerned about this Jets team. I understand that Rodgers hasn't really like shown too much this season, but I feel like if Rodgers is gonna start, the Jets are gonna have a really hard time stopping him, except for like some of those defenders. No offense at all to the Jets, but it's gonna be really hard to stop him. So I'm gonna go Packers here.
Okay, our next matchup is the Bengals versus the Saints. I'll be taking this one. I think that the Bengals are going to be winning on the road here. I think that they're going to be looking for some revenge after last week's loss to the Ravens in the last couple of seconds off of Justin Tucker's leg. And I think that this is a perfect opponent to try to show their dominance again. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Oh, Bengals. Yeah, with this, the Saints are just like, I don't know, they're on this downward spiral, and I don't know how to describe it. Something's not working anymore in their offense. Their defense is fine. It's just their offense is not working anymore like it used to. So I'm gonna have to go Bengals. They're starting to become better at their job. So yeah. What about you, Jack?
I'll also go Bengals here. I understand the Saints did a really good job last week. I think they beat a team like Seahawks. They beat them, scored 39 points. But Taysom Hill entered his once a year god tier mode, and I think that's going to fall off again. Bengals run defense is not going to let that happen, at least to the extent that the Seahawks did. Bengals need a win here to get back to 500 and stay afloat in a very competitive division, and I think they'll get one here. Joe Burrow's return to Louisiana. Give me the Bengals.
Okay, well, our next matchup is the Ravens versus the Giants. Jack, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I have to go Ravens here. Now, I'll credit the Giants. They've done a really good job. They're 4-1 through the first 5 weeks, and I think they could definitely win this game. But the Ravens, they're sort of starting to get a flow. It was pretty competitive against the Bengals, but I think Lamar will be able to do enough against this Giants defense to get the win. I think the Ravens defense is getting Ojabo and Tyus Bowser back this week. We'll see if they have impact, but if they have any sort of impact, I think that they could be very comfortable here. But it should be competitive because the Giants feel different this year, but I'll give the slight edge to the Ravens here. What about you, Zach?
I'm gonna go Giants here. I've been doubting them a lot lately, and they've been doing pretty well, especially under Dable. It's mostly been Saquon Barkley, which is very surprising to say because didn't Dable make Josh Allen a thing? So it's kind of interesting to see that he can actually tap into this nice running game. It makes me think that if the Bills had a good running back, what would that team even look like? But I have to go Giants. Giants here. I believe that they're going to be pretty solid against the Ravens. What about you, Josh?
I'm also going to have to go Giants here. They're coming fresh off a win, and I'm really liking their chances right now, especially with Dable at the helm. I think it will be a great game, and the Giants will secure the win. Okay,
You said Ravens, right?
I said Giants.
Jack, not you.
I said Ravens.
Oh,
I'm good.
okay. So our next matchup is the Buccaneers versus the Steelers. I'll take this one, and I'm gonna have to go with the Buccaneers here. The Steelers still do not have T.J. Watt, and I think the Bucs, with the refs on their side and with the Steelers not having any sort of resemblance of a team identity, will lose again, and it's just going to be another loss in the bucket for the Steelers. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I'm also going Bucks here. Well, they've had their fair share of struggles this season for certain stuff. I don't see them losing to this Steelers team. This Steelers team is struggling. Najee, I don't know how healthy he is. I think he's a little banged up. Kenny Pickett had a rough day against the Bills, which is expected because they're the Bills. But still, it was rough, and I think the Bucs defense can emulate that. Maybe not to the same level because they don't have the same offensive level as the Bills right now because the Bills are really good. But the Bucs should be able to win this game handily. The Steelers do not win without T.J. Watt. They have not won without him in years, and I think this downward spiral for the Steelers is only going to get worse from here. I'm taking the Bucs. What about you, Zach?
I'm gonna probably go Bucks here. The Steelers are actually, This is the stat line before these other losses came. I think they're 0-9 without TJ Watt. Um, so that's really concerning. Since TJ's been in the league, obviously. So I'm gonna go Buccaneers, and they're probably gonna do really well. So yeah.
Okay. So our next matchup is the Vikings versus the Dolphins. Jack, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going Vikings here. The Dolphins, they're an interesting team. Teddy's in concussion protocol. Tua's probably going to be in concussion protocol, meaning we get Skylar Thompson again. I saw him live, and he didn't do the greatest. He had a critical turnover that sort of sent the game out of control in the fourth quarter whenever he fumbled the ball. Carl Lawson punched it out. Quinn Williams, that sort of, he's turnover prone. He had a rough game, which was expected. This is his first start of his career because technically Teddy started this one. And Dolphins had a lot of trouble against Brees Hall last week, mainly in the run game and those receiving games. And I think the Vikings can create a similar game plan around Dalvin Cook with this banged-up Dolphins defense. Not to mention, we're not sure. Byron Jones is still hurt. Xavier Howard didn't play last week. If he plays this week, that's definitely a big add. But if not, Justin Jefferson also has potential for a big day. So I just think the Vikings can beat him in a lot of different ways. So I'll take them to win here on the road. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I also have to go Vikings here. Vikings have looked pretty solid lately. They're probably my pick to win the North, if I have to say one right now. Um, but and really a downward spiral for the Dolphins since that Bills game. Not just counting the Tua injury, but other injuries with the defense has not helped too much. And I'm not gonna mention this, but if Jalen Phillips on part of that defense gets one more injury, you know that he retires, right? So that's a little concerning, but that's okay. All right, Josh.
Okay. So everybody's chosen that. We are going to go to the next matchup, which is the Jags versus the Colts. I will take this one. I think that even though that the Jags completely destroyed the Colts last time, I think that they are going to split the series because division rivals in the AFC South usually do that. So I'm going to have to go Colts at home here. I'm going to hand this one off to Zach for his thoughts.
I don't know where JT is. I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know anything like that. And he's right now questionable for that game. And if he does not play, that's the entire Colts offense gone. So I don't trust that one bit, and I'm going to go Jags here because I trust that more. Jack.
I'll go Colts slightly. I think even if Jonathan Taylor plays, unless he's 100% healthy, this game is probably going to be an absolute mess. Trevor Lawrence has turned over the ball a lot. It's kind of becoming a problem in the last about 2 weeks since the Eagles game where he fumbled all the times. But this game should be ugly. Jags defense is pretty good. Colts defense is iffy, but if they're healthy-ish, they can have some decent times. I'll give the slight edge to the Colts since the Jags already got their crazy upset win in Jacksonville, as they usually do against the Colts. I think they'll split the series here. Matt Ryan will be able to do just enough and probably an ugly game. Give me the Colts.
Okay. Zach, did you say yours? Jags? Did you say yours, Zach?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Our next matchup is the Patriots versus the Browns. Jack, what are your thoughts on this?
I think I'll go Browns here in a competitive game. I'm not 100% sure what's happening in New England right now. They've been keeping it competitive with a lot of teams. They shut out the Lions. It was pretty crazy. Their CB, I think his name is Jack Jones. He's balling as well on the outside, so that's helping a lot. But I think the Browns are going to try to set up the run game, and I just believe at some point they're going to pick up a win here against the Patriots. It should be competitive, but it's in Cleveland. It's coin toss. I'll give the slight edge to Cleveland here. What about you, Josh?
I think that is going to be a Patriots win here. They have really put a huge statement after their win against the Lions, so I think that they're going to continue this momentum by beating the Browns. Zach?
I have to go Browns. Yeah, with the Browns, I trust in Chubb and the Browns defense more than I do the Patriots. It was a nice win over the Lions, but the Lions also didn't score the entire game, and they just rushed the ball mostly, and that's how you beat the Lions. You run the ball on them. So yeah, I'm not too impressed with that win. I'm gonna go Browns here.
Okay.
Um,
And, oh,
I'm good.
we
I'm
got
good.
okay. And our next matchup is the Bills versus the Chiefs. Probably the game of the week this week. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I'll go Bills here on the road. The Chiefs normally beat them in the playoffs and get the last laugh, but when it comes to the regular season, no one does it better than Buffalo in their matchups. Buffalo won the last one, I think, last year in the regular season. I think they'll keep the trend going, and obviously a fun game. These teams match up pretty well against each other. Both teams are getting a little healthier. Tre'Davious White's on his 21-day return window from the IR, so I think that'll be a big add for the Bills here. But I'll give the slight edge to the Bills just because they've been really good, and I think they're going to keep the momentum going. Chiefs are going to have a lot of trouble stopping Josh Allen this week. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I'm gonna go Bills here. It's been a very competitive. It's been a very competitive rivalry between these two in the playoffs, especially, and in the regular season. But Bills usually, like Jack said, are more consistent in the regular season than the playoffs. So I'm gonna go Bills. Josh.
Okay, I'm also going to go Bills here because, like everybody else has said, Bills are great regular season. Chiefs usually get the last laugh. So give me the Buffalo Bills here. Okay, so our final matchup of the day is Monday Night Football between the Broncos and the Chargers. Zach?
Uh, I'm gonna. Oh, boy, yeah. Um, Chargers. Yeah, this is a pretty weird matchup because these teams are very inconsistent on how they play, but I feel like the Chargers are more consistent when they play, so I'm gonna go Chargers. Josh.
I'm also going to go Chargers here. As much as the Broncos have not impressed me at all, and the Chargers have been up and down because of Herbert and his injury, I really feel like the Chargers are the better built team and also the better coach team right now, so give me the Chargers. Jack?
I'm also going Chargers because mainly the Broncos, I know they have the long week as an advantage, but they're in shambles right now. They just played one of the worst Thursday night football games I've ever watched. And Russell Wilson has got a fresh shoulder injury, so that situation could be trouble depending on what happens with that. Well, the Chargers have sort of figured it out. Injuries hit them hard, but they're finding a way to win games the last 2 weeks on a 2-game winning streak. I think that win streak is going to continue here, and the Broncos are going to continue to struggle.
Okay. Well, that should be it for our video. So, like we usually say, we have predictions on Wednesday, and we have the Friday Night Chronicles on Friday. And don't worry, if you missed last week, we still got another week of Homecoming Edition because this week, the Raiders, the team that we were going to be seeing, will be the Mustangs Homecoming game. So you'll get to see Homecoming Part 2 on the channel. And I will hand it off to Jack for the plugs.
As always, the Instagram, the Twitter, they're there this week. And yeah, like Josh said, Friday Night Chronicles Homecoming Week Part 2 that I actually get to be a part of this week since I missed the first one. I'll be back there for that. And then, of course, next Wednesday, we're back here for the predictions live streams as usual, where crazy stuff's going to happen because it's the NFL. But we'll be back here either Friday for the Chronicles or Wednesday for predictions. See you guys then.